I'm waiting for the clerk to tell me it's done.
Wait, Jim was looking at the clock.
It's only 5:29.
Thank you. You get close, do you live closer? Is this closer for you? Is this closer for you?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the August 24th meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice President Ferryman.
Bow your heads and join me in prayer. Lord, give us the wisdom and strength to make good decisions for our constituents. Amen.
Thank you. Good job. Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Director Arthur Carey.
Here.
Assistant Secretary Robert Lee.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer is excused from this meeting. Vice President James Ferryman.
Present.
And President Michael Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any ceremonial matters or late communications?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public comments. This is a time for members of the public who wish to speak items not on the agenda to speak. Do we have anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will move to item B, the consent calendar.
Move for approval. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimous with one absence. No public hearings to discuss this evening. So Scott, you're on. Item 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Winnie Davis will be giving this report.
Davis? Good evening.
Good evening. Before you is the fourth quarter, the period ending June 30th, 2017. We're about a month late this year, and so we're a little further along in our close. So the numbers are not as preliminary, but they're still preliminary. We still have things we haven't accounted for in the prior year. But for the solid waste fund, at this point in time, with everything that we know included, we're looking at about a $225,000 savings over the budget, and that's very good. We realized about an $88,000 surplus from personnel savings, which is excellent. And we have 2 vacant positions for 3/4 of the year. So a substantial amount of it is that. That's offset by some expenditures in contract services where we had someone come in and help us for 3 months, 4 months with our front office and to do some of the analysis on our assessment work. So that's very good.
There's someone in the lobby looking like he might be lost. Sorry.
No worries. So in the solid waste, I'd like to draw your attention to the trash hauler account is over by about $26,000. We're working with CR&R to reconcile those numbers and come up with a more accurate. We feel like we're almost there, so that's good news. We'll be able to come to an agreement. We have had a lot more growth than we anticipated within the district. Due to all the new developments like South Point and the brickyards and I can't think of the one out on Whitaker. But so we're continuing to show growth. We're seeing a lot of tear down 1, build 2s within the east side. So we don't anticipate that slowing down. We've actually even seen a lot of multifamilies request to change from dumpster to trash because the dumpster services are more expensive. So that's interesting too. We're seeing a lot of change. Our recycling and disposal, which is actually our tonnage, exceeded the budgeted amount by $178,000 approximately. That's staff's estimate 2 years ago on how much would go to organics and how much would go to tonnage, to the landfill. So it's just 2 years ago, it was a best guess. So what we're seeing is that we're under in the organics by 231,000. So overall, our total trash charges were on point, just between the accounts. It was not acclimated as good. So you can see there what the total tonnage to organics was right there. At the end, you can see it's trending much higher than we anticipated. So that's good. More people are doing organics. So skipping onward, our special programs, we had a lot of savings in special programs, which is pretty typical. We anticipate, full participation in our tours for the students, and then it kind of ends up less. Household hazardous waste, same thing. We did buy the lockable carts, 100 extra lockable carts, and then running through those pretty quickly. We were just discussing the other day that for this year that we might go ahead and buy another 100. Staff has talked about putting that on the signage on the trucks, so that would probably increase our knowledge as well as the postcards that we sent out, which were very well received. Capital outlay, it's pretty much on track. Going to the wastewater fund, the amended budget was $5,448,000, and to date the expenditures are $5,156,000, which is about $675,000 under budget. A lot of that is in personnel. We saw approximately $100,000 saved in personnel due to the vacancies. Those vacancies were also offset during the end of the fiscal year. Our maintenance worker for the building was changed from part-time to full-time, but we did have our part-time accounting clerk was given the position of administrative assistant, thank you, for full-time, so we saved the entire part-time. She's kind of doing the job of 2 people. She's awesome. And so that's our savings in that account. We transferred the unfunded pension liability that we paid off from another fund, so it had no effect on either of the solid waste or wastewater funds. So that was good. Moving on to maintenance and operations. Professional services was under budget, and most of that's due to the GIS projects that have been completed in the sewer master plan that has been started yet. That will start probably in the fall of this year. So there's about $139,000, and $120,000 of that is the sewer master plan alone. $14,000 is the asset management module that we're putting onto the GIS system. So that will be carried over. Legal services was over budget, and we did a transfer from the contingency. That's due to the litigation for the Water Resources Board and the Caltrans and the Mesa Water application. So we're good there. Going down, I'd like to draw your attention probably to, we're completed with the sewer lateral program. All the remaining funds there will be carried over as people complete. It's about $50,000 right at this point. So as the final people turn in their paperwork, we'll close that out. Right above that, miscellaneous sewer work. That's where, if we had some hotspot work that needed to be done, or we bring some contractors in, you typically pay for that. Again, I just can't say enough what a great decision it was by the board to add the second sewer crew. We were just spending a lot less money in contractual services than we ever have because of that. we have less hotspots, less SOSs. Now with our own CCTV, we'll probably spend a lot less than that, but it's hard to tell right now because we're just completing the district-wide CCTV. So we're just not spending as much. It's just turned out really well. Professional development and training, we saved about $45,000. I want to say approximately $30,000 of that was the board not attending. A substantial amount of that was the board not attending things that they were budgeted for. Some of that was that the board members are actually on the boards of the conferences they would have attended, and so their board picked up the cost as well.
I'm sorry, a couple of years ago, I think when we decided not to maintain our membership in CASA, for example, I think most of us went to the CASA conferences, and I think that probably contributed quite a bit to that.
Yeah.
I would think.
Telephone and utilities, yikes, new building, it's expensive. Our telephone is more, we have better services here. Our electricity is expensive, it's a bigger building. This year, we're in the new fiscal year, we budgeted for the new roof and the new solar panels, so hopefully that will, bring that back in line to a reasonable amount. But right now, the savings we're realizing is all from the pump stations, where the electrical there is not as much because they put in solar or new electrical panels, and those new electrical panels have just cut down on our cost for that, so that's great news. Staff's really being efficient with the new equipment. Capital outlay. We we didn't extend the entire budget for the new building. We had about $106,000 left than what the budget, or the board appropriated to spend on this building to do all the modifications and repairs, so that's great news. So that will go back to retained earnings for that position. And then I think you can see below that, it shows you what, we had $45,000 budgeted, from 2 years ago to repave the parking lot of the old building. That would go back to that position as well. So you can kind of see what we've anticipated spending and why we have to save this below. Capital projects, wow. Staff and Rob have just been doing a great job on that. We've been repairing manholes as we've gone, so that's an ongoing budget. We're doing the line fixes as they find them in the CCTV. It's an ongoing budget, but they're doing a great job with that. The big projects have all been completed. I think the board's approving 2 of them tonight. And so we're pretty much not carrying over a ton. We're carrying over the manholes, or we will be requesting to carry over later in the year. The manhole repair program, the city program, and the grade 5s. So those are just annual ongoing budgets that will carry over. And then the President Pump Station. So he's completed every project that he budgeted for by the end of the fiscal year or shortly thereafter. So we won't be carrying over any of those monies. It's great. So we're from a finance standpoint, we're budgeting the projects and we're tackling them and getting them done in a timely manner, and that's great. We're living within our means, but we're getting work done, so that's really nice.
So we haven't had to borrow anything to do these projects?
No, we didn't, but we do have, if there were more projects, we do have a sufficient amount of money available to do that, so that's great news, if there was something that we needed to do. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm not sure it's a budget question, but back to your comment about the increase in the dwellings and for the solid waste, and as we're, I keep thinking about that big project over on Superior. That's going to have a major impact.
South Point or the one on Pomona and.
I'm sorry,
17th.
Pomona and 17th Street.
Yes.
We used,
177 units,
how many?
177.
And they're all gonna get carts, do we know?
Yes, they are.
Okay. The other thing was you talked about these multifamily going from dumpsters to carts. Does CR&R go in and inspect those or take a look at, you know, how trucks can get in, or how does that process kind of happen?
Staff here does it. We had a request last week that we were looking at today. It's a 7-unit on Santa Ana Street, so we looked at Santa Ana is not allowed to put carts on the street unless it's an existing carted place. So they're going to go 2 carts. There's sufficient space on the street. It's an approved area for the street. So we'll approve them changing from a dumpster service to carts. And we don't really do anything with CR&R.
So we literally could tell a multifamily, sorry, you're not eligible to go to carts? Could we do that?
We do, if it, like this property, if there wasn't red curb in front of their property already to put the carts, if it was a parking issue where they wouldn't be under the grandfathered in through the city, and the truck had to come onto their property, the driveway is not sufficient for 17 feet, so we would tell them no, that they're not, because the side loader could not handle them, it would have to be a front loader. You know, occasionally we get people that want to go to dumpster from that, but actually it's turning out to be we're better priced than dumpster service for a year versus, my staff was figuring out where the cost nexus was based on what CR&R charges. And I think you have to have more than 6 units to make it efficient for you to have carts, or to have dumpster service, that anything less than 6 units is, or more cost effective.
I got a Now, when do we put them on the tax roll?
We just transmitted our tax roll yesterday, and so this one that we just approved today will not be on the tax roll. We'll have them come in and pay the prorated share for the rest of this year, and then they'll go on the tax roll next year. So we'll get the funds, we don't put it on the tax roll until.
Are those individual people that come in, or is the whole, the site manager does it, or?
It kind of depends, like for the property that's South Point or the property next to it, Billy, when those sell, the people will come in one by one because they don't usually come in exactly on July 1st that we could issue them carts and they would get service for a whole year. But we will put their sewer on because as soon as, you know, the property's built, the sewer is essentially usable or being used. So we kind of it depends. There's no, what I tell you this week may apply differently to someone next week.
What would you estimate our total being right now of units that we're serving?
We have been paying $22,518 for the last several months. We froze it while we're reconciling. I think we transmitted yesterday to the county 22,071. So that's, you know, a little less than 500 difference. That's made up by, we have a couple HOAs that we invoice directly, as opposed to putting them on the tax roll because the HOA doesn't want them on the tax roll. And then we have ones that we collect prorated amounts, so they don't go on the tax roll because their APN wasn't added by the county. So I think that by the time we're finished reconciling, we will be somewhere between 22,500 and 22,600.
Okay.
So if the HOA doesn't want them on the tax roll, does that mean each resident gets, as part of their monthly association dues, they're paying for the trash?
Yes. The sewer is on the property tax roll, but these were 2 homeowner associations that were using their personal can and having, like, where somebody else come in and do them, and we caught them. And we said, oh, we're residential, you have to go to our cards. And they said, well, we've already collected all the money from the homeowners, we don't want you to put them on the tax roll. So they'll just keep paying the HOA fee, and we invoice them and they pay us. They have to pay us by July 15th.
Do you invoice them for a whole year?
Yes, we do.
Wouldn't the county want to know, I mean, something isn't connecting in my brain, that, shouldn't the county know that they're, I mean, shouldn't it be on the property tax bill?
No, this is a special assessment. It's not part of the 1%.
Okay,
So,
when you say it that way, that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is, you know, the county doesn't care if we never transmit our fees to them and put them on, or if we do.
What about the sewer laterals? Is it for the one big unit, or is it for individual units?
The sewer laterals are by residential unit, so we put our base single-family charge for those HOAs, but they've always been on our, we
Okay.
just for some reason never caught that they weren't using our trash.
Okay, sounds good.
Other questions? Jeff, as usual?
I have one other question. You mentioned a city project. City, on one of your last things you mentioned. What is that?
It's the city manhole budget, so.
Oh, I see.
when, like,
We're
before-
paying them for them doing the work.
Yes, when they have their contractors out, they
Right.
go ahead and fix our manholes as they're repaving the street. And so we pay them to do it because it's more efficient since they're there.
Okay.
The city of Newport Beach, I think, just did Irvine past 23rd to like Mesa. And we provided them the manholes, and they did everything for us without any additional charges. So
That's
so we
brilliant.
just keep a budget for that because it's always ongoing and we can't anticipate it. And I don't know if you recall, like, I want to say a year or two ago, they billed us for 4 years behind or something. So they're a little slow on invoicing them, so it's kind of, I may come back to you at some point and say, okay, we got the budget for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Rob's checked it out and it's good, but,
Did we have to pay that?
yes. No, we didn't pay the entire amount.
That's
Did
right.
we negotiate a smaller amount
We did.
for a penalty or something because they billed us late, or?
We negotiated, I think, based on our attorney's advice, that they couldn't bill us for
Yeah.
something that happened
Right.
outside of a 2-year period.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so this is just receive and file?
Yes,
We will do that.
thank you.
All right, we'll move to item 2, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is to consider approving opening escrow with First American Title Insurance Company for the acquisition of real property at 2252 Fairview Road, and then appropriating $1,695,000 to purchase the property. The actual property, the purchase price is $1,690,000. I believe the additional $5,000 is to include closing costs. As you know, the reason the district is seeking this property to purchase this property is that we want to expand our yard, and we'll use this property to store our emergency equipment, such as portable generators and bypass pumps that are used during power outages at our lift stations. Right now, we have our emergency equipment at several locations. We have them at the city yard. We started storing them now at the Orange Coast College boat yard. We have them at other lift stations. So we believe by centralizing all of our emergency equipment and supplies in one location, it'll greatly enhance our response time to emergencies. It's all at one location. The existing building on the property will remain there. We will use that building for storage only. It's not going to be used for offices, it's just for storage. Right now, we have some hoses that are stored outside, and they deteriorate quite rapidly due to the weather elements. So we will bring those hoses inside, along with any other cables or supplies, keep them out of the weather elements, and we can keep them longer. So the building will be used for storage purposes as well. As far as improvements goes, it's pretty minimal. District Engineer Rob Hamers is currently designing the improvements, and we're about ready to go to the plan check. The improvements basically require removing a portion of the block wall between the yard and the property, so we can have access to both properties. We have to relocate the fuel tank, and then we'll install a perimeter wall around the building. It would be precast or block wall, about 8 feet high, and then we'll put a steel sliding exit gate on Fairview Road. The total cost for those improvements, which includes designs and inspections, probably around $60,000. So if you approve opening escrow, we'll have escrow open by no later than September 1st, and it will close on September 30th.
Are they renting the property back from us after that date of closure, or? what's
Yeah, that
the
was
plan?
part of the negotiations to reducing the total cost. So there's no money coming in from them renting the building, but he needs time to wind down his operations, and we said that's fine. And he's going to work with us along us doing improvements on the property while he's winding down. So the goal is to be fully operational by January 1.
I have another comment about, the building, you have the two areas that you can, the doors raised up, and then they have an office space.
Yes.
Are you planning to keep that office space there, or to convert that into another storage?
It'd be another storage where, yeah, nothing there's going to be used for office.
Yeah, I know, I thought maybe it could be another roll-up door, but.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, I didn't know.
We don't have any really, right now, don't have any plans to do any improvements to the building as it is right now. We'll keep it as is, and we'll address that as we need it.
And there'll be no gate on Wilson?
No, there will not.
Okay, just on Fairview?
Just on 30, yes. Yes.
In going through the building inspection report, the one thing I was trying to do was, the roof, it recommended we put some kind of seal or.
Yeah, it's minimal though. It's really minimal. Again, we're using it for storage, so the roof's not leaking, so it's not an issue.
It seemed like there were some patches on there.
Yes.
They looked like they were patched in a pretty good manner. Okay. Other questions for staff?
No, I think it's going to be a valuable asset for us, or for emergency purposes.
Okay, this time, Bob, two questions?
No, move approval.
Before you do that, I'm going to open the item for public comment. Mr. Mosier.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer, and President Schaefer, members of the board, and Mr. Mosier. I haven't followed this item closely. I know you've been negotiating closed session in a number of meetings, and I understand from the staff report I was reading as you were speaking, this will improve response time and effectiveness of the district. However, there is a large amount of money involved in this, and I have no idea how the cost of this improvement compares to our current costs for storing the equipment at various locations where it is stored. And therefore, my question would be if there will be any financial benefit as well as the response benefit to the district, and if so, how many years it would take to pay back the new investment needs. Thank you.
Just a quick comment, Scott, I'll let you answer the question, but, we don't know what emergency costs, we are gonna have some savings in some storage and things like that, but I don't think it equals the cost of the property, and I think it's a unknown factor. If there is an emergency, the savings and things like that. But
Well, I think where it could save us is potential fines if we have a sewer overflow, So it's to improve our response time so we don't have substantial fines from the regulatory agencies. That's where we believe the savings will come. It's the best way I can answer that question,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Okay. Director, do you have a motion?
Oh, I'd like to move approval.
I'll second the motion.
Further discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence.
I really voted for this because, it is a safe and secure place for our emergency equipment, and as well as improving our emergency response.
Absolutely.
I voted against this first time around, and I just thought the price was way too high. But, property like that adjacent to our other property doesn't come along very often. And I think, in my mind, that justified the purchase of it because of that. I hated my heck to pay that much, but,
I said that about my first house, too. But I think those are points well taken. That property would never come available to us again. It could have become a Subway sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Okay. Rob?
I just want to add that if you are in the yard with the employee cars parked in there, with one of the Vectors parked outside, and then the other Vector truck pulls in, it looks like a shoebox. It's way too small. And it's been holding us back for having other equipment, et cetera, et cetera. So we were fortunate that the property next door came along. Just like we were at the other headquarters hoping that the adjoining property came through. And maybe if it had, we'd still be there.
That's true, though. Good point.
Thank you.
All points well taken. So, okay, let's move to item 3, Scott.
Did you take action? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. So the third item here is to consider approving a Fifth Amendment to agreement with EEC for managing our geographical information system and our computerized maintenance management system. And also, so EEC is responsible for managing our GIS, which is our mapping system. Our staff has the capability of accessing the GIS and CMMS out on the field with our tablets, which is great. We still need that support services from EEC because it's constantly updating the maps. But what's different in this amendment is that we're also going to be incorporating our asset management into the GIS. Right now, we manage our asset management based on the spreadsheet. So putting this into GIS form, one, it'll give us quick access to the data. Secondly, could calculate replacement costs, the life expectancy. It can all do that for us at our fingertips. So it's what other organizations are doing. They're getting into the digital format, which I think we need to do as well. So my recommendation is to approve the Fifth Amendment.
I have a question. Is this a 2-year budget or a 1-year budget?
This is for 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. Okay, because I looked on the back page.
Yes.
Okay.
Bob?
Scott, we had an asset management study, and along with that came an asset management model. Is that what you're talking about putting in here, or is this just?
Yeah, that model, this system is going to replace that model. That data, though, from that model will go into this system.
So staff will be able to access what the model
Yes.
had through
Yes.
this process, because
Right.
we were struggling with getting the consultant to show us how to use that model.
Right.
So
Right.
this will make the model available to
Yes.
staff.
Correct.
Is it available now to the staff?
No, it's right now. I think just Rob and I just have access to it. And again, it's just on a spreadsheet that gives us the value of the asset, how when it's due for replaced, how much that cost is, and that's when Rob and I are sitting down doing our CIP budgets. That's what we look at. We look at that model. Having on the GIS, it will allow everyone to have access to that, and it'll allow us to give us that data, keep that updated on a continual basis, and be on our fingertips quickly.
I think it's a reasonable amount for a 2-year program.
Seems like it doesn't.
Yeah. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Before we call for the vote, I just wanted to point out to all of you on the amendment, the fact that there are 3 Schaefers supposedly to sign this amendment, and only one of us spells it right. I just want that in the record. All right, we have a motion.
Which one is it?
Mine. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. Okay. Item 4.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a request for staff to go to training out of state, and this is for the NeoGov Annual Training Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. NeoGov is our HR platform. It's the platform that allows us to post our job applicants online. They also help us with notifying when positions are open. There are other capabilities that NeoGov can give us, and that's why Diana Wojcicki, our manager now, too, would go to this conference to learn some new capabilities of NeoGov. And so tonight's staff is support.
Is this conference normally in Las Vegas?
Yes, I think it is.
It doesn't move around?
No.
Before I call for the question, I'm going to ask if there's any public comment on this item. Seeing none, then we'll take the motion and the second. Any other questions?
I got a question on the meal allowance. Is that enough money for $70 for 2 days?
I think it's $70 per day.
Okay, because it says, it gives you a total of 1,092. Is that for per day?
Sometimes the contents often meals as well.
That was my point, so this $70 is for the 2 days. That's pretty reasonable. That's my question. And it's answered.
It's at the MGM, I agree with you, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Item 5, another Vegas trip.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This is another request to approve staff going to a training outside of California. And again, this is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is for the Tri-State Seminar. And this is the big conference for the wastewater industry, because this is where professionals from Nevada, Arizona, California get together, and they share information and resources. And I put on the staff report some of the items that they talk about, like odor control, using acoustic inspections, asset management, root control. It's all relevant to what we do today, and it's probably one of the most important conferences our staff go to. So this year we're sending with your approval, we'd send 2 staff members, Steve Cano, our wastewater superintendent, and Brandon Hickman, our wastewater maintenance worker 2.
I think what's interesting that in the one attachment, the organization says, here's what you tell your boss to get you to go. That was good. I really appreciated that. They were very good points, actually, but I thought that's nice. Any questions for staff? Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Sir, go ahead.
President Schaefer and members of the board. I apologize, this is actually the previous item that it had 2 tables in it, one for a 2-day conference and one for 3 days. Could you clarify which of the 2 you approved?
I think that was for Diana's. It listed 2 days or 3 days.
Staff is only requesting to put them 2 of the days that we not for staff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jim. We didn't say that. It was for the 2-day conference.
I had the same question.
He's sharper than you are.
I know.
Does that answer for the previous item? Okay. Motion on this.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send Steve and Brandon to the Tri-State Seminar. Bob?
Yeah, this used to be in Laughlin, then they kind of outgrew it. It's a much better venue. I used to help put the program together and used to attend the conference. It's a very practical conference for non-management and non-engineering types. The CDBA, it tends to be more engineering and management and some practical stuff. This conference is worth its weight in gold.
When they come back, Scott, do they give us a report, or how do we want to handle that? I'd like to hear what they've learned.
Sure, if you want to.
Have a study session or something.
Yeah, I don't think in the past they should tell me verbally, but I can get a report.
I think they did once, but I thought it was really informative for us to find out what they learned, anything
Sure.
new, how that we can apply it.
Okay.
Maybe just at a study session would be good.
Not a problem.
And especially what they learned is applicable to what we do.
Can I call for the vote, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, we did.
We had a motion and a second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Okay, thank you, Scott, and other staff. Rob, engineers report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and board members. Item 1 is our project status report. You have a update on all the projects in there. And as Wendy mentioned, we're picking them up and putting them down. So that's reflected in the project status report.
Any questions for Rob?
What's new on the horizon?
Item 4 is what's on the horizon, and we'll get to that in a minute. Item 2 is finalizing the 19th Street Pump Station electrical improvements and facelift. I believe Scott sent out pictures to the board. It came out really well. The work was very well done, excellent workmanship. So the city's happy as well. We refurbished the pump station, and it just it shows a lot of pride. So we're very happy with that. And we now have a permanent standby generator on site for the 19th Street pump station. So that worked out real well. And there is action that needs to be taken?
Yes.
Rob, how many how many pump stations have permanent generators? Eldon and 19th Street and
Let's see. 7?
7?
There's
Three
seven.
of them. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, there's 7 total. I think 4 have generators and 3 have permanent bypass pumps.
Okay. So they have emergency equipment on
Yes.
site.
Yes.
And then Adams has one available if needed.
The bypass.
The one on Adams and Calvert Street.
Well, yeah, it's not permanent,
Yeah, I
but
know,
it gives us a
but
place to hook it up.
If we
on
need it,
Calvert.
we got to
Yes.
hook up. That's all. That's on Project 3.
I wanted to ask, are you going to leave we have an emergency generator for the yard where they're presently stored. Are you going to leave that generator there for the city courtyard? It's one of our 20 pump stations. It's a small pump station, but we have a generator, I think, to service that station.
For the yard? For the
Yeah,
for the
so
courtyard?
rather than drag it over there, my suggestion is we just leave it over there.
Okay.
Which one are you talking about, Bob?
The one at,
The one in the city
Placentia.
yard. There's a pump station in the city yard.
That's
So
a
rather
good
than take
suggestion.
it from there and take it over to our new
So is there a
facility,
generator there that
we could
supplies
just leave it there.
It's got a bypass.
Oh, it's got a bypass.
Or I'll bypass pump one or the other, or something that services that station.
Okay, this is an action item, so anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, I'll turn it back to the board.
I'll move approval for exonerating the bonds.
All three things there: accept improvements, file notice of completion, exonerate
Accept
bond.
improvements, file notice, and exonerate the bonds.
All three.
Can we do those in one motion, Alan?
Yes, because they're all interrelated.
Okay.
Second. Improvement that causes the notice to file and then wants to exonerate a certain time period after that, so.
Okay.
that would be a vote.
All right, motion by Perry, second by Berryman. Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Item 3, Rob?
Thank you. Item 3 is the Adams. Alani? There we go.
Number.
Thank you. So that worked out very well. We have, actually, the property owner made a request that he would like a wrap put around the new electrical box on Calvert. So there's actually a new electrical box there, and we put another electrical box on Adams Avenue. So I'm sure Gina will be busy with those. But
The one on Adams, it's pretty cool,
Yeah,
actually.
that's real good.
So the resident wants one in his front yard.
yes,
Do we have to ask the other neighbors at all about that, or just go? That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna send a letter out to the neighbors with some options, several options to consider. One of those options is to leave it as it is, but we're gonna give them that option to.
How many neighbors do you, the immediate area, like 10 neighbors, or how many?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
25? Okay.
Probably within 500 feet.
Then I got a question for Rob, and I asked Scott, have we tested that? If we have we hooked up the generator to Adams and tested it?
yes, we have. The tests all worked out well. We're trying to fine tune the timing. When you go back to Edison Power, after you've taken the generator over there, hooked it up, run it on the generator, and then it automatically, when the utility power or Edison Power comes back on, the way the transfer switch was designed by the manufacturer, it'll run the generator for another 20 minutes before it goes back to utility power. So we're going to try to decrease that time down to a couple minutes. But it all has been tested. It's very complicated, although it seems kind of simple. A lot of head scratching between the electrical people. So it all works great, and it's been tested over and over.
I mean, have the guys in the field observe what we're doing?
Yes, they took training, and we also made a placard that gives them instructions, meaning start with this, do this, look for that light, then do this.
Okay.
Those kinds of things.
Sounds good.
It's interesting you say that about the, once the power comes back on, the generator keeps running. I noticed that at the pump station next to my house. When the last power outage, you guys came out and had it going, the generator was still running after the power was restored. Does the crew have to actually physically go out there and pull that switch, or does it automatically switch over?
In your case, in the case when they take it out there, it would have to be manual.
Okay. That's kind of what I assumed. Okay, so this is also an action item for the board?
I'll move the action.
All three items?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Number 4.
Thank you. Here's where the action is. So we did open bids for item 4, the force main for President Pump Station. And we designed it using directional drilling at the request of our general manager to decrease noise and trouble to the neighborhood. And that worked out very well because the bids came in lower than we originally budgeted for. We were close to $900,000 when we looked at this to line the existing line or rehabilitate it. This is to replace, to install a new one and leave the old one there, and then maybe sometime we can come back and refurbish it. But the bid came in under the engineer's estimate, so we're lower than budget. We have our best contractor was the only bidder. It looks like he's made his mark in this town, and everybody else didn't even bother to bid. So recommendation is to award the project as it's shown in the recommendation.
He was the only bidder?
Yes. I did get into that in the staff report as to potential reasons why. And it was the pipeline contractors don't like to drill because they have crews that excavate, put in trench shoring, and use a crane to put pipe in. They're not used to drilling, and drilling doesn't keep their crews busy. So that was probably the main reason.
Are you planning to do this at night again?
Probably not, because we are smack dab in the middle of a residential area, so we don't have to worry about traffic. And I'm sure everyone would prefer it to be done during the day.
How long a drill can you do? How long is the force main?
The force main's 2,600 feet. And
Half a mile.
we're drilling as far as the pipe goes in each street. We're drilling we're drilling up the hill,
Yeah.
then we're drilling down the street. Then we're drilling down the street, little piece of open cut, and then we're drilling all the way into the intersection of
So
Hamilton and Placentia.
Four holes, four little projects.
Actually, we're drilling in both directions at the end, so
Oh.
there's like 5. But plan worked out great.
That goes to Hamilton and Placentia?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a long force.
It's a piece of work,
It
yeah.
is.
Well,
So recommendation is as shown in the staff.
just like everything else that happened in 1953, when you turn 64, you need to get your plumbing fixed. So, all right, so again, action item to award the contract Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter?
There's the items that are in the staff report, which is to also establish a contingency.
Contingency, yeah, thank you, Ron. Okay,
Make that motion.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion to award a contract and approve a contingency of 10%. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0 with one absence.
Can I ask one, how long a construction period do you think it'll be? Do you estimate?
We put 45 working days
Oh,
in the
45
contract,
working
but
days?
we're hoping for like just 1 month.
And this is substantially quicker than open cut?
Yes,
Yeah, I would think so.
Cheaper, too.
yeah, it is actually, it's coming out cheaper.
Yeah, no.
That- One of the drilling companies, some of them left one company, established a new company. Their price is so low that it made this project work.
Again, to me, one of the biggest benefits is the fact that there's minimal street disruption to the residents.
Right.
When we do it this way, and that's gotta make a bunch of people happy.
And the city.
And the city happy.
Yes,
And when you do plans and specs, you have the utilities all charted out.
yes,
Did you do the plans and specs for directional drilling?
yes.
Okay.
And we had a mandatory pre-bid conference,
Mhm.
had 10 contractors there, and we said, this is going to be a drilling project, not a trench excavation.
Mhm.
So they could go with a different drilling contractor and come up with their own way of drilling, but it had to be drilled.
Does this make repairing does this make repairing the gravity sewer sags, the hot spots, any more cost effective?
Okay, the gravity sewer hotspots,
Yeah.
those sags, this is a drilling project for the force main, it's not a
Yeah.
gravity line.
I know.
So how would this be in relation to that?
Well, can you replace the gravity sewer
Oh, with drilling?
with drilling?
Yes, that's possible, but we can look into that because we were using dig and replace.
Yeah.
The tolerances, from an engineering standpoint, it's very hard to achieve a perfect gravity slope with drilling. So the milder the slope, the much harder it is.
And you'd also have to build a couple extra manholes or something?
Right.
Okay.
So we'll look at it.
Just a question.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Good job, as always. Mark?
Thanks, Mr. President, board members. This is your quarterly review of the treasurer's report. The portfolio as of July 31 was earning 1.415%. That's up a little bit from the prior month. Prior month we were earning 1.387. That's not due to any new investing at all. It's just due to the fact that the portfolio value has gone down. We're in our revenue dry period right now, so we're expecting the portfolio to continue to go down over the next several months. The duration of the portfolio is 892 days, which is just under 2.5 years. We have a requirement, you have a requirement that 20% of the portfolio must mature within 1 year, and at July 31st, we were just under 28% of the portfolio maturing within 1 year. Only items to note in this quarter is because this is the first month of the new fiscal year, there's some changes to reserves that we see on the Treasurer's report. The operating reserves have been adjusted to reflect the percentages on the new budget. The revenue per dry period likewise has been adjusted for the change in the budget numbers for fiscal year 17-18. We've also eliminated the reserve for the Emergency Preparedness Fund based upon your previous direction. We are also not seeing any calls in our investments. As interest rates start to rise, those calls tend to go away because we buy those investments at fixed interest rates, and so in rising markets, the government doesn't want the money back. They just assume you just let us continue to hold on to those investments. So the number of calls that we're seeing has gone down. And also for the next several months, we're not going to be doing any investing with the purchase of the new building or the new property to be able to fund that, make sure there's cash available that will come due during this revenue drive period. This is an action item for you to approve the investment report, and with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
On 10 of 10 on the attachment, the heartbeat thing. When I say heart, you know, the lines.
Yeah.
The OC pool, does that tend to be a more conservative approach to what they invest in?
Yeah, it is. Post-bankruptcy, it's everything has been very short-term
That's right.
duration, and so it's a very liquid portfolio. So that's why you'll see it be tend to lag a little bit of everything else, just because it's such a short duration.
It seems to be the most consistent, to the way I look at it, the most consistent line, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? For Mark?
I have no comment.
Go, Ron.
I was reading an article about the Orville Dam and some reconstruction of it, and the article said that FEMA, typical reimbursement of FEMA for an emergency project is 75% of the cost. So I think that's a valuable number to know, that your emergency is going to cost you 25%, not 100%, not 0.
It's interesting you say that, because I deal with FEMA because I do flood insurance, and it's kind of the opposite, because they do a smaller amount, or they do a fixed amount of coverage. In other words, the most flood insurance you can get is $250,000. So it's kind of a different concept when it comes to residency. I've heard that same thing, that for projects like the dams and stuff, that you're on the hook for basically a 25% deductible. Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, then there's other agencies that come in, the state, that'll pick up some of that. Yeah.
I tell the people in New Orleans about FEMA.
Yeah.
I mean, they got about $1 on their money.
And those trailers are still
I
sitting there.
saw the whole thing. I mean, I was down there and took the nickel tour with the Deputy Secretary of State. And it was, you just can't believe how devastating that was.
Well, it's funny, the thing in Orville, they're moving pretty quick, from what I understand, to get that, and they rightfully so. If we have another winter like we had this year, like we had last year, I'd hate to live in that town that is right below the dam.
So they could be heavy rains in December.
Yeah. Good. Okay. We do need an action on this, so I will ask if anyone from the public would wish to speak on this item. And seeing none, I'll turn it back to the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Thank you, Mark. Counselor, anything for us this evening?
I don't have any additional reports, but I just send the board operational finish line memo and motion please that San Diego recent today on the party, and I'll request that to
Yeah, that's good. Very good. Any questions for Alan this evening? Thank you, sir. We'll move to public meetings. Jim?
I was at the Orange County Sand District meeting, and it was a fairly short meeting, but in closed session, we did discuss the properties across the street that we have an interest in buying. And we have one of them as closed escrow. I think I told you this before. There's another property adjacent to that they're negotiating with right now that's like in the $10.5 million range. And then they just got a phone call last week from the owner of the building adjacent to that one. And initially it's within the $10 million range. That one's going to be an office, that is an existing office building. So, looking ahead, you know, when they develop this thing, they can use that office building, you know, instead of tearing it down, they can use it during the construction period. And the construction period is gonna be 5 to 7 years, you know, from now.
No, your last report didn't tell us that information. Your last report said they were gonna be hiring those realtors or.
Oh, okay, well.
So that's good, that's good.
Yeah, we got one in escrow, and we're working on, we're down the road pretty far on the second one. And then the first one, or the third one, we're just coming out.
That's awesome. That's what you need to do that.
Yeah, they're not making any more property over there.
Anything else?
That's it.
Art, Sarpa?
No meeting today.
A couple of months in a row, you guys haven't been meeting.
Yeah, this is like our, it's that quarterly. Last time they didn't have it, now it'll be next month.
Okay, I got you. Okay, ISDOC, I did not attend because I had another commitment, and I don't, with Arlene not here, we have no report on ISDOC. I'm not sure what they're up to, but I'm sure it's in our business. Arlene's not here for CSDA. SDRMA, we had our board meeting early in the month. You know, it must be the financial time of the year because that's what we went over mostly was SDRMA's financial reports, and they're in good standing. I can tell you that. There were a few things that didn't look so good, that our financial people had made some mistakes on what some numbers were, but it wasn't dramatic. It just kind of a small thing. I will tell you that the speaker that will be speaking at the CSDA conference in September, that at the SDRMA breakfast, I think you'll enjoy. He's a pretty sharp guy. I think you'll enjoy that. We are giving, SDRMA is sponsoring breakfast, so I'm sure you'll want to be there directly.
What day is that?
That is on Wednesday.
Yeah, Bob will be there.
Yeah.
When is that in
We'll be there.
September?
Yeah, we don't wait till Thursday.
We also,
Mike, when is that conference?
the CSDA conference in September.
No.
That's up in Monterey.
Oh, that's the one?
That's
Yeah,
the one.
we sponsor the breakfast.
Yeah.
Other than that, we did award, or we announced, or we picked the people that are going to get the safety awards from SDRMA, whatever they call them. And I don't even think we applied for any, but CMSD's not getting any awards from SDRMA, sorry. And the results of the board election will come next Thursday. We'll know. I'll know whether I've been reelected to the board next Thursday.
Did anybody else apply for your position?
We actually had 4 openings on the board. 3 incumbents ran. Merle Clift, who's no longer a director with Cambria, can't run, so we had 1 opening, and I think we had 7 people apply. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Good luck.
Okay, other meetings. I will report that Scott and I attended the Costa Mesa Kiwanis meeting last week. Was it last week? No, week before last, because I was on vacation last week. Kiwanis asked us to come, or asked the district to come speak about the consolidation and with the proposed consolidation and some other issues. And I would just like to publicly applaud our general manager, who did an outstanding presentation. I mean, he raised some they were very impressed. The Kiwanis Club was very impressed with what this organization is doing, and Scott portrayed us extremely well. I was just there to be a pretty face in case some things came up.
Well, they should have invited Bob there.
They should have invited Bob. But he'd have gone into a stand-up routine. It would still be there. Yeah. I did.
They want me to come do stand-up.
Yeah. There were a couple of things that I chipped in with that did a good job, Scott. You can go on the speaking tour now with all the service clubs. I'm sure they'll be glad to have you. Yeah. The rubber chicken circuit. So. Any other meetings?
Yes. I couldn't take a lot of notes. I went to the Waco meeting with Kelly. Jim and Arlene were there, and we had Kelly Rowe. He talked about the hidden water under South Orange County, and he's I don't know what his title, is he a geologist?
He's a hydrogeologist.
And he talked so fast you couldn't take notes, but it was really interesting, you know. He did a really good job. But before he spoke, Kathy Green said that SB 623, they've joined to oppose. Did we get information on that? You know, look into SB 623. It's a water tax. And that's basically it. He just talked about the different hydrology in Orange County.
Did they pick a successor to
Yeah,
Mr.
that's-
Timmy Acker?
Yeah, it's going to be Jim Atkinson.
So Jim's just going to take.
He's just going to be
keep
the
his
next
spot?
president, yeah. He's just going to take the spot, which is, I thought was kind of unusual.
They didn't open it up for any nominations or anything?
No, they just moved Jim Atkinson into that vice president spot.
Really?
Let me add on,
Okay.
are you done with that?
Yeah, I'm done with that part, yeah.
I was at that Waco meeting too, and what I took away from it was all these years, all these hydrologists and people just think that our underground aquifer is the only game in town. Well, actually, there are several locations in southern Orange County that it could be, it's not on the same scale as ours, but it can certainly be utilized, and if there was a will there. And, you know, this, and they kind of, you know, everybody kind of agreed with it, I thought.
They had a lot of
You know,
pushback.
So, you know, that could be on the horizon. I mean, exploring those possibilities.
I think he's also,
Where are they?
Oh, gosh.
he had 2 or 3 different locations, but it was in South Orange County. And he talked about, there is water there, but you have to, it's down pretty far. And it's
San
not,
Juan
it's,
Creek, into the San Juan Creek
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
there has to be an aquifer, I would think. As big as that is. And going into South Laguna,
yeah, he mentioned that. He
There's
mentioned
a creek.
San Juan Creek. Yeah, he mentioned that.
Yeah, there were multiple
But
locations.
he bounced all around. It was really
Yeah, it
difficult
was-
to take notes, good notes. Because I usually take the real good.
okay, any other meetings? Bob?
Well, the only meeting I attended was a meeting with Jim. You know, there was a safety project, and they also are considering not doing the strategic planning
Oh,
that
that's
they
right,
normally
yeah.
have in the fall.
Yeah,
For OCSD?
yeah.
Because they go so slow over there that they're not shaking.
Oh, because I thought Brett was going to do that for him.
Brent was going to do it for him. Well, he's still going to do it some semblance.
He
of
may,
it.
yeah.
Okay, we have no old business or new business this evening. Oral communications and director comments. I just had one comment, and I keep hearing from different people about the proposed Fairview Development Center and what's gonna happen with that. We need to probably keep a close eye on anything, because they're talking about multifamily and single family being built in there. I'm sure the city will come to us if that happens, but I think we need to kind of keep an eye, going back to what Wendy was talking about earlier with, you know, future counts and things like that. So, Rob?
We did have them in front of us, and we discussed the fact that the sewer in Harbor Boulevard is not a high enough capacity based on the book flow from everything that's going into it, and we told them that. And that's one of the lines we're going to monitor with a flow meter when we do the master plan.
Okay.
Because it calced out that there wasn't enough capacity for it or for that high-density hotel, or whatever that is, that Wilson there, that's,
Oh, yeah.
it's going from a motel to a
To multifamily, yeah.
apartment.
It's 260 units or something like that.
Right.
Where's that at?
Wilson and,
You know that.
that motel that closed down,
Wilson?
close to Mesa Motor Inn.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, Wilson and Harbor.
Yeah, Wilson and Harbor.
So there's not enough capacity for what they have planned for that route?
That's the same line in Harbor.
Right.
But there's another sewer there too, so they could go south. But I'm just reminding that the Harbor line, We put that development center on notice when they wanted a will serve letter. We made it conditional.
Okay.
Did we ever check their lines? Remember, we had a problem, they wouldn't let us check their lines or clean their lines at the,
They got a Vector truck on site when they got a new engineer, so apparently they're cleaning.
The population there is so low, and I'm sure
Yeah, it's really low.
diminished.
But the lines may be totally full of
they
debris.
probably are, you know. Does the Vector truck suck up the stuff that's in the lines or push it forward?
If they're smart, they would take the debris out, not just push it
Yeah.
down the road, and get the debris out of the line. But
Well,
if
we
it's
don't,
if it's just grit, they could vacuum it out of each manhole. Otherwise, they got to keep pushing it forward. So let's hope they did a good job.
yeah, because they wouldn't let us look at it, would they?
No.
Yeah. Didn't we want to at one time?
We wanted them to plug the manhole covers because that area
Right.
floods. When we found out they didn't clean their line, we didn't want them to plug it because
You want the water in there.
backup.
Yeah. And what's the timing on that? Is that 2020 that they're going to close? Do you know?
I don't think they've set a date, but I know they're,
We had one of the fathers on our golf team work there, who told us 2020 is when they're closing down.
When they
But
complete-
that was a couple of years ago, so I don't know.
But then it'll take quite a long time, the development has to occur.
the environmental reports and everything. Okay, any other corrective comments?
I'd suggest we do a write-up on what you mentioned, Wendy, about having the major savings from the sewer system cleaning crew in our quarterly newsletter. Make it just kind of sharp and,
I don't think it can go in this newsletter, but the following one.
oh, yeah.
Because I think
sometime
this
in the
one's about
future.
full, isn't it?
Or we can get it and go on our website.
I'm sure. Okay, there's no other business. I will adjourn us to the September whatever meeting. We are adjourned.